Welcome to video number 2, in which we're going to cover ENVS specific databases as well as some general search tips. And to start, we're going to go from library.western.edu up here, and we're going to go to the Databases tab. And people often think that this database finder search bar will just keyword search anything. But it's actually helping you to find a database. So you wouldn't want to put like cheatgrass in here. You would want to put agriculture or environment or something else. But if you wanted to search more generally, I recommend clicking on the database finder link itself. And this will take you to a list of all our databases. But what you can do from here is sort by subject, which is a lot more helpful than looking one by one, right? So if we click on all subjects, you can see what is included in that. So we're going to go to environmental studies, but you feel free to, of course, explore throughout here to find something that's more relevant to your specific topic at any given time. But if we click on environmental studies, in this gray box we've got our best bets, and below this we have just more sort of general ones or even more specific databases, right? So I'm going to open up 2 different databases and show you sort of some differences as well as some tips for searching within a database. So I'm going to pick Environment Complete. I'm going to open that in a new tab, and I'm also going to use Sciencedirect. So if we look in our Environment Complete, this is another EBSCOhost database. So again, don't just ignore this top URL link up here and use permalinks. So let's look up cheatgrass since it's on my mind. And basically this search result, Pane, is going to be pretty common throughout databases. Usually on either the left side or the right side you'll see sort of options for you to change your search and modify it. So 707 results are kind of a lot to look through, especially if the search were to time out on you. So if you wanted to limit this search, there are several ways of doing that. You can limit to the publication date, so you can limit it to, let's say, the last 12 years or so. And this cuts down about 200. If we scroll down, we can choose the source type, so academic journals versus magazines. If you were to open the subject, you can select also, let's say, sagebrush. And now there's 61, so a little bit better, easier to search through. But if you were to wanted to save this whole search that you've done, that you spent some time on, and you want to, come back to this search later, what you can do is go to this share button and use the persistent link down here. So again, when you have this easy proxy in the link, that means it's going to connect through the library and it should put you where you need to be, right? You can also make an email alert if you wanted to save all of the sort of new things that come out that have these keywords that you've created. One of the fun things you can do with EBSCOhost and most other databases is called Boolean Operators. So if we were to do an advanced search, we can choose our operators. So AND is going to be used to cut down in a pool of results because AND is more selective, right? AND basically means you must have your first term, let's say cheatgrass, and let's say USA. So when you start typing here, you'll notice that it offers different keywords for you to try and help you out with your search, because these sort of databases are not as smart or intuitive as Google is. When you do a Google search for USA, it's going to know that you mean United States, United States of America, America, American, all of those sort of synonyms, right? But there usually isn't the same amount of money in academic databases, and so this search is going to be a little bit weaker, so you kind of have to help it more, right? Basically, all it really knows how to do already are plurals, but it doesn't quite know how to do synonyms as well. So let's do a search like that. And we're going to have 500 results, and these should all say USA in them. But if we were to do, let's say, environment, let's add that, 96. But let's say we wanted more than 96, but we want to keep environment. But if we were thinking about what I just said, about it not really having a good vocabulary, what if we wanted environmental? We're going to go from 96 to 176. So it would change also if we went to environmentalist to 2. But if you wanted to incorporate all of those, the shortcut to do that is to do an asterisk. So let's take it down to environment and then do an asterisk here. So what this is going to do is search for anything starting with environ M and then fill in the blank after that as it likes. So if we do this search, this should broaden it back out, right, to 221. So it includes everything from environment, environmental, environmentalist, all of those things, right? So that's one fun tip for you. Of course, you can change your parameters to include or not. Pretty self-explanatory. However, the or is an inclusive or, so it's going to broaden out searches, right? So this, if we were to do or environ M, is going to basically say cheatgrass and USA or US or America or anything with environ M. So that's going to change it pretty significantly, and we're going to get a million results, right? So usually you don't really need or unless you're doing something like USA or United States or America, right? That is a little bit about EBSCOhost. Let's jump over to Sciencedirect here, and I'm going to show you, let's do another cheatgrass search here, that basically, remember, it's got pretty much the same Pane results, right? So we've got results over here, and on the left side we've got filter, things that we can change, right? So the years of publication, different types of articles, publication title, and access types, to sort of change what you see. However, Sciencedirect is different in that the URL can be trusted. So if we were to click on our first article here, you can straight up download this. You can copy and paste this link up here. You can also copy and paste the DOI link, which will just bring you right back to this page as well. Some citation systems will want you to use the DOI, and some, don't really care about that. So, the Sciencedirect can be very good for searching, but one of the things is that we purchase access to journals in bulk, basically. We buy it by the thousands, and something that may not have full access, as indicated by our green dot here in Sciencedirect, may be accessed through a different way through the library website, which I'm going to show you in Finding Full Text. But one of the other things I wanted to point out are that if you look at these sort of record entries here, they have the designation, research article, the title, the journal, and all of that. But one of the advantages of EBSCOhost is that they do give subjects or keywords, which can be very helpful for trying to narrow down or understand maybe your research a little bit better. So when you're looking at something that really feels relevant to what you're looking for, you might want to take those terms and add them to your search, right? And keep on changing it and make sure that you're, always sort of being aware of the words you're using. So if we were to use grazing, it's not going to pick up graze automatically. You have to add that yourself. But if you were to do G-R-A-Z asterisk, it'll include all of those. Now let's change this to an and. So cheatgrass, grazing in the USA. is going to give us 83, and it should all, be relevant to grazing and animals and livestock and that kind of thing. So this is one advantage, right, of EBSCOhost. Another thing you can do with EBSCOhost that you can't do in some other databases is access other databases. So EBSCOhost is one of the sort of big names in academic research. If you go up to the top, you can check different databases, so you don't just have to stick to Environment Complete. If we select Choose Databases here, you can also add, let's say, green file. Let's do Science Reference Center, and let's just stick with those. So now it's going to give us even more results, right? Because it's looking through all of those other databases, and usually they try to sort of eliminate duplicates, so it's going to do its best, right? But this is a way to sort of collect a wide range of information, and as you start to do research in a particular discipline and subfield, you'll start to notice people's names, especially very prolific authors. There's always people in any discipline who publish a lot, right? Or at least have their name on a lot of different things. So as you get more familiar with those, you can actually, let's click on this first link, select the person's name. So let's try Erica. Let's see what she's doing. She's got 174 articles in just the databases that we've selected, right? Pretty good. There's no guarantee that this is the same Erica, of course. You have to always do your due diligence, but usually if, all the subject things are sort of related, then it's probably a pretty good chance that it's the same person. So those are some tips about using ENVS specific databases. In the next one, we're going to talk about what to do when you can't find the full text of something. So some of these have full text PDF right here, but if we were to click on the second one, it doesn't automatically have it here, right? There's no link, there's no PDF directly to it. So we're going to talk about what all these things do or should do for you. All right, let's see you in the next one.